Hello and welcome. This is a video from a series that addresses different steps in the WISE methodology. This video focuses on assessing the characteristics of the business process in the area that we have selected to improve during the preliminary planning stage. The goal of WISE methodology is to add value to the organization. WISE framework describes how value is created in an organization, and the key elements of this framework are people, workforce and organizational culture, business processes, technology, and change management. For each of these elements of value creation and improvement, WISE includes a tool to assess the current, or as-is, situation in terms of capabilities and maturity. Our improvement methodology includes two types of models. We use maturity models to assess our current, or as-is, capabilities, and we use system models for detailed analysis of as-is and the design of the desired to-be capabilities. Maturity models are equivalent to a thermostat in a house. The indoor temperature shows us the as-is state, and the set point is how we define our goals for the to-be state. A system model would include a detailed description of the elements that drive the temperature in the house. Understanding each of these elements and the interactions between them is required to design, implement, and operate the overall system and achieve our goals. Tools to determine or assess the characteristics of the selected business process and the maturity of technology that is enabling that business process are in the same spreadsheet. Worksheets with the purple background are used for the business process. They are the focus of this video. The maturity of technology that enables this business process will be covered in a different video. The introduction to the first step in the improvement process, preliminary planning, is provided in a separate video. Some outputs from the preliminary planning step included in the project charter are inputs to this assessment. The project charter identifies the business process that has been selected for improvement, and it generates the preliminary list of stakeholders and their responsibilities. This participation list is the starting point for the participants worksheet in the tool to assess the characteristics of the selected business process. The participants worksheet of the spreadsheet includes two parts. The upper part provides some information to explain how to fill in the table, and the lower part of the worksheet is where you will actually enter the information. The information in this table is filled in directly by either typing it in or cutting and pasting from other documents. There are no drop-down menus to choose from. The WISE knowledge base includes subfolders where each utility can keep the files related to their own improvement effort. When you are ready to start, a blank version of the spreadsheet can be placed there and renamed to reflect your organization or the name of your pilot improvement effort. In this assessment phase, the spreadsheet template will be used to gather and update the information about the business process. There are a couple of options to approach the collecting information. We may start by populating the blank template with the initial list of stakeholders that had been developed during preliminary planning and conduct individual interviews with each stakeholders. Based on their input, we would update the spreadsheet and circle back to the stakeholders to verify the revised table. When we are satisfied that the table is fairly accurate, we can conduct a workshop with all the stakeholders to finalize the table. If you are confident that the table from the preliminary planning is fairly accurate and complete to start with, you may go directly to step 2 to finalize and confirm the table with the broader team. Effective facilitation of the workshop will help the stakeholders and enhance their engagement. The second worksheet is used to collect information about the documentation that is currently available for the business process that has been selected for improvement. The part of the worksheet that should be edited is in cells D10 through D20. Responses to these items may require familiarity with the details of the business process, so we need to engage the participants who have subject matter expertise. To enter the information into these cells, you will click on the cell to get a down arrow symbol and select from a drop-down menu. The list of options in the drop-down menu is included in the worksheet. It should be noted that, based on conversations with many utilities, proper detailed documentation of business processes is very rare. In the next worksheet, we collect information about the goals and metrics that apply to the business process that was selected for improvement. The top part of the worksheet provides information and examples that are intended as a reminder. It explains the worksheet. On the left side, there are some examples of different goals. On the right side, there is a description of the drop-down menus that you will select from when filling in the information into columns E and F. The bottom part of the worksheet is active. This is where you will enter your information. On the left side, you will directly enter different goals by either typing or cutting and pasting. There are no drop-down menus. These are just examples that are intended to help you. You will start with a blank template, and you may start by pasting the information about business goals and metrics that may have been identified during preliminary planning and expand on it. On the right side, you will select from the drop-down menus. Note that there be more than one metric for a business goal, for example, for timely billing of customers and effective management of parts inventory. This worksheet collects information about several standard aspects of business process management. Responses for each of the aspects are selected by clicking on a cell and selecting from the drop-down menu. The Business Process Summary worksheet includes all the responses that are summarized in a single worksheet. The content from the Business Process Summary is used to build several dashboards. This initial set of dashboards are work in progress. The intent is to adjust them based on the input from utilities who are conducting pilot implementations and preparing case studies. The assessment tools, however, are generally intended to be more stable and will be adjusted only if there is a clear and strong rationale for a change. Most dashboards, including the dashboard for participation shown here, include two parts. The first part of the dashboard are the results from the assessment. In this case, it is the list that is generated and maintained in the Participants worksheet. This table is in the dashboard and is derived from the Participation worksheet and should not be edited in the Dashboard worksheet. When updates are made in the Participants worksheet, this list in the dashboard will be automatically updated. The second part of the dashboard can be edited in the Dashboard worksheet. It is optional, and it includes draft proposed tables that may help the team to interpret the results of the assessment and estimate the complexity of the selected business process and the impact that the process has on the organization. The proxies used for estimating the complexity of the process are the number of different stakeholders, their affiliation with different business units within the utility, and the external entities that are engaged in this business process. These estimates are based on the list of stakeholders discussed by the team and entered into this table. Additionally, the team may select from different options to estimate the complexity of the business process. The team may also choose to estimate the level of impact that this process has on different aspects of utility management. Cells in the assessment column include drop-down menus for selecting the best choice, as shown in this example. The information about the complexity and the impact of the selected business process may help us inform upper management about the challenges that we may face in the improvement efforts and help the team develop risk mitigation strategies that will be discovered when the selected process is analyzed in this way. The dashboard for process documentation includes several sections. The top of the dashboard for maturity of process documentation includes a summary of the assessment results. This table and the gauge are created and maintained in the assessment worksheet. They are not to be edited in this dashboard. Numerical values have been assigned to each level of maturity, and a combined average maturity level is computed and showed in the gauge format. Admittedly, averaging these different elements of maturity is not very informative by itself because we really need to look at the specifics in detail, but it does provide a rough sense for a high-level dashboard view. This part of the dashboard gives the improvement team an opportunity to define the desired or to-be maturity level for each of the aspects of documentation. The goals for improvement levels of maturity are entered into this column. At this point, since this assessment is a quick process that happens in the early stage and before detailed business process models have been developed for as-is and to-be business processes, identifying the desired or to-be level helps the team prioritize and sequence the improvements of process documentation. Stakeholders should be engaged in defining the priorities for improvement. The improvement team enters this information into this column so that it may be used later for planning and scheduling improvement activities. The gap column is calculated as the difference between the as-is and to-be levels of maturity. The criticality is also a calculated variable. It combines the magnitude of the gap and the importance of the specific element of process documentation. This is, again, optional and intended to identify areas where challenges may be more pronounced. For example, if we are trying to close a large gap on an item that is of high priority. These charts are included in the dashboard to summarize and communicate information that can be considered when planning improvement efforts. The interpretation and the presentation and reporting of results can be done in different ways, and these are just some initial examples. The dashboard for goals and metrics also includes several sections. The top of this dashboard includes a summary of the assessment results that have been created and are maintained in the assessment worksheet. They are not to be edited in this dashboard. This part of the dashboard allows the improvement team to select the desired to-be levels of maturity for measuring and tracking each of the metrics. The column on the right can be edited in the dashboard by the improvement team with input from stakeholders. This defines the gap that improvements will target and address. A couple of draft examples are included here to illustrate how to present the information related to the assessment of current levels of maturity, the gap that improvement efforts should address, and the priorities as defined by the improvement team. This is the dashboard related to business process management practices. At the top of the dashboard are the results from the assessment, containing the data from the Business Process Management Practices worksheet. This table is used for the improvement team to define the goals for the improvement, expressed as the gap or the increase in maturity level, and the importance of this improvement. Examples of reporting the results of the maturity assessment and the goal setting are illustrated in these figures. The old dashboard worksheet is intended to summarize the results from several assessments. These are again initial examples of reporting and presentation that we will be improving based on the feedback from utilities that are working on pilot implementations. Dashboards are intended to present, to report the information about the selected business process to support our efforts to plan and execute the subsequent steps in the improvement methodology. The next step in the improvement process is the assessment of the technology that is enabling this business process. The technology assessment is included in the same spreadsheet with the business process assessment, and it will be described in a different video. The assessments of the selected business process and the technology that is used by this process provide a foundation and a reference for subsequent system modeling, analysis, and design. Thank you for watching this video. Our assessment tools will continue to be updated based on the feedback received from the pilot implementation.